say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell.
At what price?
More. Much, much more.
I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Well, someone once says that life is, call it a stage, maybe a comedy. All you have to do is learn patiently and play it, or just take it lightly. And some of you are too serious in your suits. When you get to work, everything is serious. Whatever you choose, thank you so much for staying with Morning at NTV. This morning, I'm not a cobbler, but I know this is what some of us are doing. And as your boss waits patiently for you to get to work, let's get started with the question of the day. Well, help us answer that simple question by going to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. You can also tweet it at Morning at NTV. Yes, man. I need to buy a new pair of shoes here. Or you can use the SMS platform 6565. And of course, good luck to all the first 5 respondents to this question. Get yourself a mag from Morning at NTV. And that's the reward. This morning, we're coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. And it's Brian, Joel, and Simon here. Mabel at the NTV studios at the International Conference Center. And of course, you can follow us as usual on our individual Twitter handles at mbgold2, at mepkeb, at Kasiate, at Joel Senyonyi. Don't forget to tag at NTV Uganda. Isma is away in the land of mermaids in Mombasa. Try and also get a hold of him. And this morning, the rain is raining down on Kampala. Last night, it rained down on Manchester United. What a joy. Mabel, good morning.
If I can bring my shoes, you seem to be doing a wonderful job up there. Cobbler Brian. I don't know if you can actually hear me, but yes, most of us are preparing, if we haven't already, left for work. Well, this is Morning at NTV, a wet Wednesday morning, but we're glad you joined us. We will continue by taking a look at the news. As a row over the award of a multi-billion-dollar tender threatens to scuttle the implementation of a regional railway project, it has been revealed that government has now signed a memorandum of understanding with Chinese harbour and engineering company. This comes barely after a High Court ruling quashed a decision by the State Minister of Roads, Engineer John Byabagambi, to revoke an MOU with a rival Chinese firm, China Civil Engineering Construction Company. The Chinese firm had already spent about 7 billion shillings on the feasibility study of the Malaba-Kampala and Tororo-Pakwach-Gulu-Nimule railway line.
The government has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Chinese firm, Chinese Harbour and Engineering Company Limited, to carry out feasibility studies on the standard gauge railway line, which will cost billions of dollars. It's not clear yet whether this will bring to an end the protracted court battles and the controversy which has swirled around the award of the tender. This MOU comes barely after the government for the second time terminated an earlier agreement it had signed with a rival Chinese firm, China Civil Engineering Construction Company. NTV is in possession of a letter dated 22nd August 2014, which is addressed to the Chinese firm regional manager communicating the revocation of the MOU. The Minister of State for Works, John Byabagambi, writes, and I quote, "In light of the findings of the government negotiations team, it has become apparent that government cannot continue the relationship established under the Memorandum of Understanding signed on 13th January 2012. He further writes, "This is to inform you that Government of Uganda has terminated the relationship set out in the Memorandum of Understanding." Byabagambi recently told Parliament that his actions were meant to protect the taxpayer against middlemen who want to profiteer from this deal.
Those people who call themselves commission agents, representatives, and what have you. And usually they don't give up very easily because some of them, they want to get easy cuts, easy money, and what have you.
This letter comes barely after the High Court ruled on July 23rd against the action of Minister Byabagambi, who had on June 8th terminated the MOU government signed with China Civil Engineering Construction Company. Court found that Byabagambi acted arbitrarily to cancel the MOU. The multi-billion-dollar deal tender has roped in a number of ministers.
I know allegations have been made against a number of people, including myself. But I just want to tell you, for me, I'm a committed Christian. I can never, ever take a bribe.
So it's not out of the blue moon, a small minister like John Byabagambi, that I'm defying the Attorney General. Honorable, I would rather rot in jail than committing suicide.
Justice Minister Major General Kahinda Otafire recently wrote to the President warning that China Harbour Engineering Company Limited is not qualified to do the work. This decision could elicit a floodgate of litigation, further delaying the construction of the standard gauge railway line. Emmanuel Mutaizibwa.
The police will have a lot of work to do to disassociate themselves with a widespread perception in the public as being the most corrupt public institution. This is contained in a new report by the Inspectorate of Government, the IGG. The fourth annual report on tracking corruption trends in Uganda has also revealed the prevalence of other forms of quiet corruption, such as absenteeism in government schools and health centers, which is affecting the quality of public service delivery.
The report on tracking corruption trends using the data tracking mechanism by the Inspectorate of Government shows that corruption is still deeply entrenched in the society, with petty bribes amounting to 166 billion shillings per year. It is also estimated that Ugandans pay on average 127,000 shillings in bribes to police officers, court and district officials for services. The report also shows that citizens perceive the police as the most corrupt institution, while the clergy are considered to be the least corrupt. Several reports have faulted the police for corruption.
If one traffic police is taking a bribe, is that the police? That's an individual in the police.
The report reveals that 24% of teachers in public schools are often absent, while 29% report to schools daily but do not teach, yet they are paid every end of the month. Health workers were also indicted for not performing their duties. Such absenteeism and laziness constitute another form of corruption known as quiet corruption.
How is it possible that you are a headmaster of a school and you have a teacher who is absent for 2 months and nobody in the system gets to know?
The Inspectorate of Government vows to do whatever it takes within its means to continuously check corruption despite the numerous institutional challenges.
Funding has been increasing, but not to the extent that is required to cover the geographical spread of our offices.
Over 165 billion shillings was reportedly lost last year to corruption in the office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Public Service. Some of the suspects, like Geoffrey Kazinda, have been convicted, while others, like the pension scam suspects, are battling charges in the anti-corruption court. Suhail Mugavi, NTV.
A senior lecturer of Peace and Conflict Studies at Makerere University is urging regional leaders trying to broker peace in South Sudan to desist from demanding a strict observance of the 45-day deadline for the formation of a transitional government of national unity. Dr. Arthur Bainomugisha says the deadline issued yesterday by regional leaders of the Intergovernmental Authority on Development may derail the efforts of reaching a peace deal.
African leaders from the Intergovernmental Authority on Development yesterday issued South Sudan's rival factions a 45-day deadline to form a transitional government of national unity. The Ethiopian Prime Minister and IGAD chairman, Haile Mariam Desalegn, expressed his disappointment at the failure of the warring parties to form a transitional government within the initial 60-day timeframe. But Dr. Arthur Bainomugisha, a lecturer of Peace and Conflict Studies at Makerere University, says such a deadline can prove to be counterproductive if IGAD leaders opt to abide by it to the letter.
The 45 days that they have given, because already they were given for 60 days, they elapsed. Now they have given them 45. I think sometimes these deadlines can be a problem. I think my advice would be, yes, it's good to have a timeline, but we should be careful not to give timelines that we fail to implement.
Dr. Bainomugisha is optimistic of an end to the conflict this time round, given the participation of what he called key actors in the negotiations.
So Uganda becomes a key actor that you cannot wish away. So I think it was a mistake originally not to have made Uganda a key participant. And I think that's what has been realized. And I think we see the entrance of Uganda as a key participant, as an active participant in peacemaking.
The protocol agreement signed in the Ethiopian capital yesterday spells out the framework of the transitional government of national unity. Key among its provisions is that the incumbent president, Salva Kiir, shall be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. President Kiir would be deputized by a vice president. It adds that there will be a prime minister who shall be nominated by the SPLMA in opposition, who the president ought to accept. Chris Ochamringa, NTV.
Uganda is set to receive over $190 million for malaria, which kills about 100,000 people each year in the country. The money from the Global Fund's new funding model is part of the over $420 million allocated earlier in the year to Uganda. The main focus is on saving lives of Ugandans from HIV, TB, malaria. The chair of the Country Coordinating Mechanism, CCM, Professor Vinrad Nantulia, says a large chunk of money can be requested to jointly fight TB and HIV by the end of October. Florence Nalimba with that report.
The country's nationwide distribution of free long-lasting insecticide mosquito nets has received positive review from donors for efforts in combating a killer of many in the country, malaria.
And because we have done very well in the distribution, we have been allocated another 1 million nets free by the manufacturer.
Even better news in this fight is the fact that more money from the Global Fund is expected.
We have already submitted the proposal for malaria for $191 million.
This is part of the over $420 million
I can make it before you bishop and kiss his fucking ring. They don't get down on my knees.
Infectious diseases, malaria, HIV and TB. Professor Vinrad Nantulia, the chair for the Country Coordinating Mechanism CCM, tasked to write proposals very high at about 20.
The treatment and the care for those and vulnerable children.
About 15 minutes to them. So
are university students who have
Issa Kajiri. Year-olds are in Andrew.
We started singing. Kind of artist insult him but doesn't insult back. Lisa is a short-tempered man.
Andrew and Issa.
Or
was a huge disconnect between the planning.
Quite slowly as far as KCCA is concerned. Some of the people came to see me, and there is the Road, Kampala Road, Bumber Road. That plan is there on paper, but actually the money for it,
The committee currently scrutinizing the budget estimates of the Office of the Prime Minister.
For us to, for special region, run technical people in those ministries.
We should rush to start saying that these appointed ministers in charge of these regions, there was a problem.
If the state ministers, they should appoint duties.
What we have found on the ground is that
it has banned a loan guarantee for members of Parliament, owing to a leaked email. Yeah, that our members of Parliament are the simple vices. In civil people, they assured us if they see a member of Parliament walking, really, aren't we asking too much of them?
Borrow money, they go and get loan.
In Uganda, so sell their properties, borrow against their life.
Going to be paid. Then you August
house. The technicality I'm talking about. Where you are as Minister of Ethics, the biggest problem for you is the problem of NTV. When you are participating in a Parliament that earns money and does not sit at all. So this lopsidedness in our priorities is what makes many of us vexed on a morning like this one. Joel, say something.
Without a doubt, I feel you that, I mean, it's a big concern for all of us. But of course, many times again, we are the real problems at times. Sometimes I want to try and cut these guys slack. Not in any way to vindicate them. I think it's not right that we spend money we don't have, to consume things we don't need, to impress people who don't give a damn much of the time. You know, it's very well replicated, you know, in society generally, whether an MP, etc., and that kind of thing. But I think MPs need to many times stand their ground, because we've had many of them say, look, when you go to the villages, you know, there's this funeral, there's, I don't know, school fees asked for here, etc. For goodness sake, that is not your role, you know. So sometimes they need to be, they need to have a bit of intrepidity, courage, and say, look, I have played my part. You know, I'm not going to contribute to literally everything. You might sound callous, you probably will not be voted back, but I think they bring it on themselves many times.
You see, I've been asking myself. I have gone through funerals, me, at a domestic level. I have certain things I also would require to file because I've been involved in one or two things put shirt on my head. I've been involved in nuptials, wedding. And when I look back at all this, no member of Parliament has come in to put in a contribution. Don't they also sometimes exaggerate that we, the electorate, are demanding of them?
But they are demanding. It's actually very demanding.
When you look at the electorate, many of them are also saying we demand, yes, but these guys are always dodging us.
Yeah,
that's
the thing, Simon. We have conditioned the electorate to always depend on the leader. Which is very unfortunate.
Someone finds, even me, who is not earning a lot. There are people who call me and ask for ridiculous things. Now, what if an MP...
But do you give...
No, I give...
Well, Amy has no political points to score. But at the end of the day, again, you're thinking, do you again want to blame these electorate, these constituents? Because they expect services from government, and if government is not delivering, they think, all right, now we have this MP, we are going to stick on you until you deliver. So
wait a minute.
It's a vicious cycle of sorts.
This debate is like chicken and egg. Which one came first? Who got this begging mentality into the electorate? This realized that what they were giving us was irresistible. You see, that's what you always hear talking about leadership. How much salt I've given you as opposed to how much you are able to do a
for 50
virtue. If you're going to sacrifice virtue,
obviously all of us, you know, they are.
Well, they're expected to be there when they're not.
Evening course. You know what I did during the day? I ran and the country looking for news. This I would be dropped off at have a degree without much. That's right now.
I'm in the same situation.
1, 3, 4.
Alengo says that the department was telling.
Wow. The exaggerated sense of self-worth.
No, it's okay.
Albert Einstein.
50%.
If you go taking
everyone is a king in their own. As leaves of beans.
Non-figures, there's a lot more per way. So did you reject advertised in the UK? Who was
from the UK? I see a story. I saw it when I was looking through these papers. Hey, yes, it's here. The National Agriculture Research Organization.
Oh yeah.
Is requesting China for pigs.
But really, I think Chinese pigs fly. They fly. You ask Chinese for roads, for I don't know buildings, for I don't know healthcare. Now pigs also.
Look at Chinese phones, Chinese socks, Chinese Chinese everything. Now, if you're going to have disposable pigs, anyway.
I saw this guy polishing. Were you polishing Chinese shoes this morning? Kaziro Shoe China.
I know, but they do raise a very important reasons as to why they are requesting.
Yeah, they are weightier.
They are weightier, and this piggery is what has been one of the magic agricultural policies that has catapulted China. How about the consideration some of these pigs are actually GMOs?
Yes. Well, they are fake. They are fake pigs. In everything Chinese is fake.
I told you, been to a Chinese zoo where human beings were dressed up in costume and
they are
acting as lions and all that.
But you see, the point is that the pigs have catapulted their economies to massive level. And we can borrow the whole tree.
You are a national agricultural research organization.
Yes, they should be ashamed.
Research on how to make our local strains more economically.
That's why we are getting those pigs so that we bring them here and we crossbreed.
No. I think this is
if you Ugandans, the best you do with pigs is paint them yellow and take them to parliament. Then we'd rather get the Chinese and try and work with them.
This call should have come from elsewhere, not from National Agricultural Research Organization.
They're the village where
by begging.
If we can get pigs, then why not get them and you chicken at one goes missing? But what this gentleman did, what this gentleman,
an actual American company, which one is best, him or the company?
He posed as a country representative of the ghost company.
To what extent?
Okay, both are ghosts. Clearly, both are ghosts.
Because many times actually, whenever there's a tender to be awarded, these things are worked on clandestinely. Very sharp, a company is registered and that kind of thing. So.
Oh yes, we're working on an interesting inside pull out in the Observer this morning, and we're looking at Wednesday Light. Get yourself a copy and read about 15 years ago, when this wedding between Sava Saja, Uganda, and Lady Sylvia Najinda did set and shatter Ugandan records. You have not seen a wedding as glamorous as that one, and that was 15 years ago. Question is, what did you do? You may need to rejig. Absolutely.
All right, word of the day in the Daily Monitor here. This is by MP Ibrahim Senganda. Nganda on army promotions. He says Mbadi rose through the ranks to head the division in northern Uganda, then chief of staff in 2 years. This can only happen in UPDF. And as we know, but they're being promoted to, because we need people who are, highly ranked to cater for NADS, to cater for Miss Uganda pageant.
No, but what did he say? This can only happen in UPDF. Where, I mean, if Ibrahim Nganda is a member of the Tanzanian People's Defense Forces, what does he know about? Exactly. So, and
with all due respect to the honorable, some people also doubt that he's not fit to be in the August House. Well, does he expect people to work for election and qualified? Well, you see, you don't expect someone to work. You don't expect him to be on television for 15 years, then rise to the next level. If I have the ability to go through the levels quickly...
How come it's just the few that have that ability?
Absolutely. There can never be many. At the end of the day, there is only one guy at the top. And nobody's seen. Guess what? There will never be any society riffraff are more than the guys who have distinguished themselves. At the end of the day, if you start off as the class of 60, those who distinguish themselves in life will be 5. Never ask your questions as how come they are only 5. That is the natural selection of things. So you can go and start and put a finger into your mouth. It doesn't matter. That's how life is. Semuju was in the same newsroom with myself and several others at one time. He's now a member of parliament. Should I be sulking that? How come Semuju has become a member of parliament?
What you can do is go around for parliament.
Exactly. If Semuju had joined the army, if Semuju had joined the army when Mbadi joined, went through the same kind of training like Mbadi had gone through, and today he's a lance corporal wearing a huge watch on his own, I would listen to him. But for as long as he's talking the way he's talking, I think no one should actually listen to him. Anyway, the capital of Uganda raised some 120 million Ugandan shillings worth of tofari in the United Kingdom, as our good friend General Sejusa says the UK would never hand him over. Well, I don't know whether he's speaking as the spokesperson of the Home Office, but there it is in the Observer this morning. As we also wake up the headline story that the NRM report details are out, and this is the report that was submitted very recently, which was commissioned to handle the post-primaries scandals in 2010. An internal report for the NRM. Situations took place in 2010. A committee was put in place led by Honorable Seninde, and the report has come out in 2014. 4 years down the road, and guess how many? 32 pages. Just 1, 2, 3, 32 pages.
That was by what? Honorable members of parliament?
Of course, and some. But guess what? What they say in this report, the gist of the matter is that the NRM's political future could depend on how well the party tackles the sprawling corruption, optimism, intrigue, and indiscipline, vices which are widespread within the party's rank and file.
What, you think nothing new?
No, and I'm asking myself, it has to take them 4 years to make a 32-page report to come out with this kind of observation.
But what's new? Have you ever seen the Buto Infano report? Have you ever seen the Chiwetere Infano report?
That's where at the national level, maybe there's gross incompetence there. But I thought an internal report would have come out even quicker. Yeah. So you imagine if these people were running, say, the corporate affairs office of ESCOM, and there was an event like that. So if the Katikiro comes to ESCOM for Itofari in August, on August the 13th, their report would be ready in perhaps October 2017.
Is your report ready by then?
We do things chap, and that's why you get electricity on a daily.
On a daily, yeah. Sometimes it is darkness, as it were, but
there are days that we do not have coffee and tea on this table. That does not mean that the people who grow coffee and tea have cut their plantations. Whatever happens between the guy who grows it and the guy that brews it into your cup here, that certainly cannot be a problem of the farmer. We are the farmers of the
Maybe it is sometimes.
No, it isn't. Maybe. What's happening on the international scene? Are we having situations where reports into activities are taking 4 years only to come and tell us the obvious? Are we seeing situations where maybe some legislators, maybe in the European Parliament or somewhere across the world, are blaming the institutions where they went to study and have been expelled of unfair dismissal because they were ostensibly too intelligent? Or are we seeing a situation in there where certain countries are asking other countries to give them as bad, no, not as bad, but as small as help coming in terms of livestock to reboot their agriculture, as we are seeing the National Agriculture Research Organization asking China to give us some pigs?
Thank you very much, Simon. I think clearly Uganda's problems are unique to it alone, and Uganda is special. That is all I can say. But we will start off with Sierra Leone here on the Reuters news page. The World Health Organization has shut down a lab after a worker was infected with Ebola. Now, yesterday we did see that a doctor who got Ebola and was treated with the ZMapp drug that is being used, and with some fair amount of success, the doctor died. So right now we are seeing that this lab where some people have been affected with Ebola has been shut down. Now, this is an epidemic that is not yet out of control. It's still very much contained in the West African areas. Now, on to, still on Reuters, Poroshenko to seek a ceasefire after a very tough talk with Putin yesterday. Here is a picture of them shaking hands, also in the presence of the European Union Foreign Policy Chief, Catherine Ashton, and the Kazakh president standing nearby. This was yesterday in Minsk, and Poroshenko did promise to work with Putin on creating an urgent ceasefire in the region. On to the Sky News page. An American jihadist, Douglas McCain, has been confirmed dead in Syria. Now, he's an American who actually converted from Christianity to Islam, left America for Syria, and he was killed by a rival group of people, Free Syrian Army, something like that. He was actually killed, and the U.S. Have informed his family about this, and it's quite sad. You don't know how many people are homegrown now and traveling to fight for a cause they truly believe in. Now, Israel to ease a Gaza blockade in a new ceasefire. There have been pictures showing Palestinians up in arms, not really up in arms, but celebrating. Officials say Israel will allow humanitarian and building materials into the territory, which has really been hit by lots of airstrikes over the last couple of days. We've seen about 2,000 people dying on both sides since early July. Now, you look at this and you wonder, what is this? Well, a group of students in the US who actually won an experiment here, nail polish designed to detect date rape drugs. Now, what this happens is if you go out on a date and you're not too sure of the person you're with, or if you want to know if the drink you're taking is actually safe, what you do, you put on this nail polish, dip your finger into the drink, and it will change color. And then you will know that there's something in your drink. And this will help combat sexual offenses, which are quite high. Usually people's drinks are drugged, and they kind of lose control of their senses and don't remember what happens afterwards. On to the BBC page, South Sudan helicopter, UN helicopter crashed in South Sudan. Now they're wondering, was it actually a crash or was it shot down? Investigations are taking place. Still on the BBC page here, golfing while the world bans. People are not too happy that President Obama is on leave as he plays golf. He has always been passionate about golf. And yes, people are saying, you know, there's a lot happening in Syria, a lot happening in Ferguson, Missouri. Why is he taking leave at this time? And he's doing it in such a public way. 6 shots, a pause, then 4 more shots. The audio of Michael Brown's death has been released, and hopefully this will give us more answers as to who is telling the truth in this saga that does not go away. Now, this is a sad story here of a 9-year-old girl who was learning how to shoot with a submachine gun and instead ended up shooting her instructor. It happened in Arizona in the US. That's all we had for you. Morning at NTV will continue right after this break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Molondo.
Hello, is this Munji?
Yo, this is Munji.
I am feeling your new Virgin Jam right now. It is off the hook.
Thanks, man. I'm also feeling you. Seducer.
Make a call for whatever reason. Call someone, call anyone, and change your life. Make a call and you could win 100 million shillings, a car, or a smartphone with free data for a year. Plus, win 2 free minutes every day. Airtel. Together we can.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for their NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a first code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only 2 individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Molondo.
Welcome back. Indeed, you're watching Morning at NTV, coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel. We now cross over to the rooftop to Simon for today's big story.
Thank you, Mabel. Indeed, the 27th day of August 2014, and yes, it's a wonderful Wednesday morning, and this morning's big story is actually a story about a story. NTV, as you have witnessed, those of you who are watching us and who keep watching us, for whom we are eternally grateful, we already set the trend. We are trailblazers in how we get your story onto your living room. We're also trailblazers on how we get that story that you've always been interested in finding out into your living room and onto your set for you to enjoy from every angle. Not long ago, we did cover an interesting story, but one that possibly gripped many of you. It possibly sent some chills down the spines of many of you, but that's what we do when we have a story to tell. Our reporter, Solomon Serwanja, did report about Mogas Fuel Reserve somewhere on Ginger Road. The story was gripping. The question is asked where, supposing these fuel reserves went up in one huge fireball, what would be left of that place? Would that day be remembered as Armageddon in that part of the country? Or should we say that would have been the day that Kampala, capital city, would cease to exist? Of course, you know that fire is such a tremendous servant, but a terrible master. And the story explored all these, and it went into the gist of discussing why certain installations are in certain locations in this city. This morning, we're joined by Solomon Serwanja to elucidate more on what his findings were. Is this city, indeed, like he asked then, sitting on a time bomb? We'll be right back. Good morning, Solomon.
Hey, good morning to you, Simon. I love the energy.
Thank you very much. We start off by putting the rubber on the road. Just tell us about this whole story of this particular fuel reserve somewhere in a densely populated part of this city. The same could be said of other installations in the city, but we're very specific on that one, and the same can be replicated everywhere. How did it worry you to the point of going out to do this story and deliver it to us on our TV screens?
I'll tell you this, Simon. I think if I stay in Bulgaria, and every morning I drive past it, and every night I use that road so many times. But if this station went up into flames, it will redefine Uganda's history. A lot of people will be talking about it, and thousands of lives will be killed.
What made you think that these tankers could actually go up in flames? We've not had something like that. It's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented, but you cannot rule out
simply being a doomsday kind of journalist who is out to scare the hell out of city residents and possibly also pour cold water on the business of bogus.
Simon, when you are passing by, these are fuel reserves. Each, there are about four actually in particular. Each of those reserves has 1 million liters of fuel. We're talking about petrol, kerosene, diesel,
all these highly flammable things,
and
all these LPG.
And just across the road, this is the main road, a highway for heaven's sake, but you also have Chambogo University the other side, and communities living down. If you've gone there.
Yes, and the Chinawataka Swamp.
And the Chinawataka Swamp. So these are very many people, and you see these huge fuel reservoirs in the middle of communities. And in the middle, there's a road, there's a university, there are people living there. It's something that you really had to question. So we set out to investigate. Are these people really here legally? And if so, who sanctioned them? How could you have possibly put 4 million liters of fuel in the middle of the communities? And the roads and the university. So it's something that came up in the newsroom. We discussed it in detail. And this has been really a whole week's investigation. So it's not a one-day thing that we came up and just went and filmed and then got the story on air. But first of all, we felt that we needed to get the pictures first, to listen from the residents. So we had to pitch camp there. And we went there for 2 days, talked to the residents, got those old shots that you saw from the railroad.
They are actually showing right now on us.
Yeah, actually, they were from the wide view to, we talked to the people and we heard from them, and they were discussing their fears that they don't.
And so you had this comprehensive story that came in from the residents who are, of course, in fear, the proprietor who claims or says, and you later proved, went through every requisite process of making them legally present.
Absolutely, Simon.
Then you spoke to all these people who were mentioned, KCCA, Ministry of Energy, NEMA, mentioned it. You spoke to them. And each one of them gave a green light to this project.
Absolutely, Simon. Just to take you back, this land belongs to the Ministry of Works. And what happens is when such an investor looks at a potential land where he can put up his reservoirs because it's next to the road, what does he do? He goes to Ministry of Works and says, I need this particular part of land. And he gets a 99-year lease. So what does he
legally?
Do? Legally. And he gets and he has documents to that effect.
Legal documents.
Legal documents to that effect.
That you could ascertain.
Yes, and we have copies of that in our docket. But when you realize, after that, he goes to the Minister of Energy.
Well, Solomon, just to cut you short, I mean, clearly you did make a very comprehensive story, and anyone who watched it will recollect that you had it from every angle.
We had every angle.
But let's look at the angle of the residents around that place, who in fact was the primary reason as to why you were struck by the fact that there are communities around these reservoirs, and these reservoirs pose a huge catastrophic threat. From your investigation, you seem to understand the point that these residents in fact should not be there. That this land belongs to government, but is also a gazetted piece of land for industrial use. What are those residential shacks doing there in land that is not gazetted for residential activities?
I'll be honest with you, they're not supposed to be there, because you see that land was There are squatters on the land.
There are squatters on the land.
And some of them were compensated by Mogas.
And they shouldn't be there.
And they shouldn't be there.
Has that occurred to you that is actually the next big story that you as Solomon Senator and NTV could actually do, that many people in this city are living where they shouldn't be living and they're doing so illegally, and when catastrophe befalls them there, then government will be blamed?
And of course, when such a catastrophe happens, what will happen? Everyone will be blaming government,
including ourselves here.
The question is then, who is supposed to chase them away, and what would be the format? Because for that particular piece of land where Mogas is operating, most of the people are compensated,
and they had pitch camp right outside the fence of Mogas.
And yes, some of them just pitched camp outside the fence of Mogas, but they're there. So the question is, who is supposed to take them away?
Now, what do we do here as reporters when we see an illegality like that? Do we stand to be on the populist angle and say, well, Abantu by Uganda, you just like we cover the story of the evictions on the illegal settlements along the railway reserve. Many of us tended to go the angle of saying, look, KCC and other authorities are being unfair to these people by chasing them away. Where will they go? We always ask that question. Where will these people go? We always go there and try to show the human element. I mean, it feels good to show a baby salvaging a piece of wood from a demolished structure. It feels, it gives a proper heart-wrenching picture to see maybe an old woman wallowing away in the squalor. But we forget the bigger picture, that these people are there illegal in the first place. Do we ever think of going back and even speaking this one and say, but by the way, why do you worry about this fuel reserve exploding on you tomorrow? Are you aware that you're here illegally? Do we ever ask those questions?
We did ask those questions, Simon.
And what did they say?
These are people who will tell you they've been on this land for more than 10 years. And there's squatters there, as much as the land belongs to the Ministry of Works. But I think for me, the next step would be, you tell them because you tell them you're there illegally. They know they're there illegally, but they are squatters. They've been on this land. So it would be very, and you've seen this, when KCCA wakes up and starts evicting people, they'll come up into flames and say, we've been here for years, give us where to go. So probably the next point of the story would be, what is KCCA's next move? Because you see people living around these reservoirs, and you clearly can see.
Or even people living in land that doesn't belong to them. And you've seen the debate just not even a kilometer away from that very location is the Kasokoso spoiling slum. The land ostensibly doesn't belong to the people that are in there. The people in there claim that the land belongs to them. So clearly there's that contestation, and I can tell you it is a story yet to go on. Could even determine who becomes the next member of parliament. But let's get down to the investor himself. You did speak to him extensively, and he did seem to convince you, or am I being presumptuous, that in fact his installation is averse to any accident of the nature that you feared, like war. That there is sprinklers, the tankers are made of a certain material that is anti-flames, that they are sensors. Were you convinced?
I should say Mr. Partha Ghosh is the executive director of Mogas Uganda Limited. He took an effort and took us around and showed us around. First of all, he said they have invested $700,000 in fuel, in the fuel safety. And one of the things that interested me was that the temperatures are controlled. Automatically, if the atmospheric temperatures go beyond a given degrees centigrade, the water starts to cool it down. I think we managed to show those visuals, the water flowing over the tanks.
Of course, according to from where we were, we thought that was fuel spilling off.
No, it was actually water. But but those cylinders, cylinders have a very thick metallic sheet, very thick. But inside the water, inside the tanks, there is what they call. No, they actually showed us the visuals and the 3D images. There's a metallic sheet that is just on top of the fuel, but which is blanketed down and up. It kind of prevents any increase in the temperature inside the fuel. From wherever I saw and what he told me, I was convinced that this fuel tanks may not just go up into flames. Nevertheless, he said he cannot rule it out happening due to terrorism. So if someone just blew it up,
sent a shoulder-held rocket.
Of course, you know how strong that is. And so you will have 1 liter, like 1 million liters of fuel, of petrol, going up, and then it can spread to kerosene and diesel, and you will have it all. But Mogas is just a classic example of what's happening around Kampala. Let's discuss the Namongo issues. We've seen Vivo fuel tanks there, fuel reservoirs. We've seen Total fuel reservoirs there. We've seen
talking about terrorism, one time I was interviewing Major General Pecos Kutesa. He tells me that during the time of their rebellion, he does remember one particular instance where he almost pressed the self-destruction button. That in his young age, together with his two colleagues, clandestinely were out there and they actually cut through the fence of the Total reservoirs and were out to blow those reservoirs.
Oh my God.
And then just as they were about to do it, they asked themselves one question: shall we get out of this alive? And from that day on, he said that incident determined his outlook to life, that sometimes certain causes are not worth dying for as an individual. In other words, telling me that his ideology was not about suicidal missions. But that could have been him. But that's not lost in today's terrorism.
Simon, it's just those thoughts that someone who can think beyond it can make a decision. But we're looking at a possible terrorist attack.
Of course, there's been the story of the sprawling petrol stations on almost every 100 meters in
Absolutely, and KCCA, I just heard from Peter Kauju recently, he was telling me that they have stopped giving, allowing applications for establishment of fuel stations across the country, in Kampala itself. And he was saying because there are very many, and
they should be sufficient.
They should be, yeah. They
but
should
on
be
the other hand, let's look at. I mean, yes, we've been grappling for the most part with no fuel. Sometimes we've had fuel crises here, especially when Kenya catches a cold. You know what I'm talking about. Isn't it good news that finally some private investors are thinking of creating reservoirs inland for us to be able to avert such a fuel crisis?
I think I think for me, fuel powers this economy. And if we have,
and we're a landlocked country.
Yes,
anyway.
and we are a landlocked country. So I think the investment of putting these reservoirs within in Uganda is I mean, you cannot. It's a merit.
In other words, you're saying that everything
be,
kills. It's just how much safety one puts in.
Absolutely. So where should be? And I think in one way, I think
just like someone did argue some time back that, say at peak hour 8:30 a.m. there's over 1,000 cars parked right outside the Electoral Commission on Ginger Road, traffic jam. And in each of those cars, there's not less than 10 liters of fuel.
So you can imagine how much fuel
that is. That's also close to hundreds of thousands of liters. But how are we ever worried that these cars could go up in one huge fireball?
I'll tell you this, but I think the reason why all these authorities really okay these reservoirs is because they have received, like they're convinced.
Solomon, supposing someone argue that these authorities do so because they have been incentivized, and I'm talking about being corrupted. How can you hold these authorities above such a vice?
It's something that needs to be...
And by extension, even you, the journalist that went out to cover this story, supposing someone says, look, you have been compromised to take the line of the investor and all the other authorities. It's just one domino effect of corruption.
I think for me, I think for me that would be out of the question, because we see we managed to tell the story in its all entirety. We set out to investigate, we found the results, and like you saw the story, it was fair and balanced, which is some of the principles that NTV really stands for. But just to tell you something, Simon, that the fuel reservoirs in the heart of town, I was talking to the Commissioner of Petroleum in the Ministry of Energy, and I was telling me they have a plan. There's the whole pipeline, fuel pipeline. They have a plan of constructing huge reservoirs. It's going to be like a fuel city where they will have to decommission the reservoirs in the heart of town and all those in the periphery of Kampala. So they will put them particularly there.
And just like they did
so
when you look at
to
Namongo, that was not part of the CBD. And that's why the BAT factory is just there, where you think it's now in the heart of the city, but then when it was constructed in the 20s, that was actually industrial area.
Yes, but you see people coming to settle in.
Absolutely.
And which is not right, like you said. But for me, the bigger, the step forward though.
Did he give you the timelines to these huge plans?
No,
what we know, there are huge plans, wonderful documents, sitting, gathering dust in government shelves, and they're never implemented, some of which we'll never see in our lifetime.
I put that question to him, he said, in a short while. But maybe to just highlight something here, Simon, we are sure that in a couple of weeks, the government will be commissioning talking about reserves in Ginger. And we are convinced, they told NTV that they have been renovated and Uganda will be free from fuel shortages, because that's a question that we can leave hanging to be answered by time.
Well, of course, and that is what you will do when you go out of the way to do what NTV does best, to cover your story with the utmost confidence that you are looking at the truth, nothing but the truth, all the truth. You're being fair, you're being balanced. The tendency, which you earlier said, is what determines how you do your stories at NTV. That's a better way to cover it up. Thank you, Solomon, for joining us here. When we return, it's Simon Says. And but well, there you've heard him, a reporter from NTV that went out of the way to cover a story that did first come up as a story idea from a point of bother. That he sees this every single day and then asked himself the million-dollar question and says, you know what, let me go out of my way, investigate it and bring it into proper perspective. Perhaps that's one thing that we better learn from NTV, especially you who are watching us. That is worth every while when you tune on to your TV and NTV is what's flashing on the screen. Why? Because we take meticulous care in finding out the exact quality of programming that you deserve as an individual. But most importantly, and getting down to the news, we put every story of ours to the highest standard of scrutiny. Of course, that's not to say that we don't make a few goofs here and there, but that is indeed what describes our infinite quest to always be on top of our game. There will always be mistakes, there will always be bad judgment. There could actually even be incompetence in one way or another, exhibited in one form or the other. But that does not take away the fact that we subject all our stories to the highest levels of scrutiny and we look out for what affects you, because you, our viewer, is what determines what we present on our screens, because we serve you. Enjoy the rest of the programming here on Morning at NTV. For Morning at NTV's Big Story, we'll be returning tomorrow with yet another insightful look into what will be making it the headlines or what will be an important phenomena that we intend to put into perspective for you. Good morning.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
We transact every day, and for centuries, currencies have changed hands. Business is a must, and that is why Money Matters makes it a must to talk business.
It's the biggest market out in Uganda because of East African connections and business.
From farming to business trading, we give you all the angles.
When you're harvesting, that one is the most important part, which really have to be there.
We'll bring you all the details that doing business has to offer.
Thoughts of the business leaders in the market.
The airline industry doesn't operate like any other industry, where you go in and buy a shirt and this shirt is 20 shillings today, it will be 20 shillings tomorrow, 20 shillings.
The analysis of the costs and the income in the industries.
From wherever we are, we talk business, and at Money Matters,
where money indeed matters.
Business is a must.
So, don't miss talking business with us every Thursday only on NTV.
Stand up to be counted. Brought to you by UBOS. It's your right.
Mom, why closing the doors and windows?
As if you don't know. Don't you see those people coming? They have been asking everyone questions in the village. I don't want to give them any information about us. You can't trust people nowadays.
We need to answer them.
Why?
They are collecting information that will help our community in the end. The information collected is used by our leaders to make informed decisions and plan better for all of us.
Census is here. Get ready to be counted. Starting from 28th August to 6th September 2014. Together, we count. This message is brought to you by Uganda Bureau of Statistics.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs. Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiasts.
Oh, Mr. Krabs,
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that?
The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? Yeah! That's a mega win!
Hello?
King Julian, you are truly inspiring.
Ow! Sponge Pot!
Fantastic!
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye
bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo. Yogera naffe. Buli lwakuna. Butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
To enhance your enjoyment, NTV has brought you an exciting soap.
Hey! Somebody stop that guy! He took my purse! Bloody Indians.
Sorry, ma'am. I am sure there are thieves in your country too, but we Indians never abuse.
Made for Each Other will be airing every weekday at 6:30 p.m., while Scandal moves to 4:30 p.m. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite TV channel. NTV, turning on your world.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Login.
This week on Login, Jubilee Insurance appreciates their client. The African Urban Fashion Show.
Yeah. No, no. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
And of course, Cindy's Sundowners Party.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
I'm gonna blow your mind and I'm gonna twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Onyumirwa ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, historic, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud! Suarez.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Ansari. This idea that everybody is peddling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
Welcome back from the break. Now on to some of your messages on Facebook. Simon did host Solomon Seranja as they were talking about the environment and these organizations, the fuel companies that have reserves within the city. We have Umar Ntale saying, congratulating Solomon and saying he's always in the lead. Kichoncho Brenda says the government needs to do something, either shift the residents or the fuel.
Because in their country, what kind of, I'm already forgetting the dish, but I know I will not forget to eat it. And, this morning, we're trying to cook, and obviously I am a distraction in the kitchen here. So maybe I'll first stand here for some time while she fixes whatever she needs to fix. So get onto our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. You can send any questions there for her, and of course tweet at Morning at NTV. And if you have any questions about Trinidad and Tobago, well, she can maybe help us answer this. Yes.
Okay.
What next now?
Here we're going to use the spinach, right? We're going to make sahina.
All right. I can tell you surely tonight I think I'm cooking at my house. Learning quite a lot. Yeah. Let me talk to Esther. Why Trinidad and Tobago? You know, she prepares her thing. I know Serena is known for doing a lot of innovation. We had literally a big Valentine showcase here. Why Trinidad and Tobago this time?
I think the fact is that as a Serena, we want to be diverse as much as possible. We want our clients to sell different cuisines as much as possible. Trinidad and Tobago, as I mentioned to you earlier, is a cosmopolitan country with a lot of different ethnicities making different cuisines. We want to expose our guests and also our staffs to different ways of cooking, which we actually find very interesting. They can do French, they can do Indian, they can do Spanish, they can do African. As you said, they even make the pirao, the one in Africa.
Yeah.
So it's a mixed race. Which kind of, these are in the Caribbean. But Caribbeans with Africans in there. So we want them to teach us what they have been taught there. So it's always, again, as a chefs to have the...
To learn everything. I see you mixing this. Okay, this is how it looks like.
Yes. Right, and sometimes if you want... Okay, so now we could begin frying the sahina. Right?
So you fry it as it is there?
Yes, we fry it as is. Right?
Ladies and gentlemen, does the oil have to, how do you say, where the oil gets ready and you literally see the steam, you know, coming. I'm really as rudimentary as nice. Ah. Wow. How much oil do you need to fry? Looks like it takes a lot of, it's deep fried.
It's
right?
deep fried, yes.
So just that actually depends on the quantities you are making. If it's a big quantity, you need a big pot.
Yeah.
If you're small individual portions, you just need a small little pot. But to ensure that it's deep fine. It's not shallow.
Yeah.
Not touching on the pot.
Wow, beautiful.
And here this sakina, we leave it until it's golden brown. Right, make sure it's cooked inside. And right now I'm gonna rinse this out. Now I'm gonna make the baigani. Right, the baigani now. Home, this is eggplant.
Yeah.
Right, that's in the American way or the English way. Right, in the East Indian way they call it baigan.
Baigan.
Right? Yes. So with the baigan, we'll make baigani.
What is eggplant in Uganda? Biringanya. Yes. Biringanya. So, yeah. It's amazing how international we are. It's a global village. Okay, Biringanya, you go to Biringanya. Some of you know Biringanya. Okay, let's go on.
Right.
So you cut Biringanya. You must cut it that way, right?
Yes.
Not.
No.
Wow.
This way. Let me see one. This one. Do a little more. And just turn this. Make sure that it's cooked on both sides properly.
Nice.
Okay.
So what?
Here again now, right? We dip this into the pulori batter once again, right? What we do, we bring it down a little thinner. So we add a little tip of water to break it down.
Okay.
Because
So
because we actually want it a little tip.
you break that down more.
Break it down a little more for the baigani because it actually wants it to cover the eggplant, right? If it's too thick, it will just run off.
Nice.
A little more. Okay.
Wow. This is a meal you could prepare for your loved one today. I will certainly try this. Certainly try it.
And then if you want with this too, you add a little more jeera, right? So that you get a little more flavor into the eggplant because it's much harder than
Again, what spice is this?
That's jeera powder, which is cumin.
And it's sold here?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's cure powder. Cumin powder. Cumin powder. Yeah.
But I think they said cumin is originated from Africa. Yeah.
These are like the herbs we get from Zanzibar. We have cumin, we have cinnamon, we have cardamom, we have all these they cook the pilau. If you know remember. So cooking is about cooking, mixing herbs and spices and building flavors in food.
Okay.
All right.
So we're gonna remove this and then we're gonna add the baigani.
Okay, some of you are already sending on Facebook, so let me check out what you are saying because you need to learn some of this stuff. I know with just flour.
I'm feeling your new virgin jam right now. It is up the hook.
Thanks, man. Someone, call anyone. and change your life. Make a call and you could win 100 million shillings, a car, or a smartphone with free data for a year. Plus, win 2 free minutes every day.
Airtel. Together we can.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
To enhance your enjoyment, NTV has brought you an exciting soap.
Hey! Somebody stop that guy! He took my purse! Bloody Indians.
Sorry, ma'am.
I am sure there are thieves in your country too, but we Indians never abuse.
Made for Each Other will be airing every weekday at 6:30 p.m., while Scandal moves to 4:30 p.m. So sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite TV channel. NTV, turning on your world.
The average age of the international team is under 18. And so
The primary role of Team Uganda is to remain to Division 2.
Probably that's the only thing that can make 1 or 2 rugby fans smile, that the Cubs are doing well.
The players have not put on they have not wore the game faces. They're not the animals we saw last season, because Ferguson had the same group of players and he did deliver the Holy Grail, which is the title.
Mubonyumiro ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, Derek, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robin van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud. Suarez. Super Suarez. Gonna backs it up.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
You turned me in, Rose?
Alcino, after seeing her, I lost track of time.
Ernestina, are you sure the man you saw running away was Gustavo?
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
I'm going to blow your mind and I'm going to twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them.
very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs! Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs!
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that?
The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought.
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Hello?
King Julian, you are truly inspiring.
Ow! SpongeBob! Fantastic!
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought capasas? Omwana yena sobola gamba super deep. Si myaka jaffe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Why are you crying?
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprochichi's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Rare Hoover.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We're still at the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel, and this time in a very unfamiliar turf on I can see Brian. Are you going to talk sport this morning?
Yeah, I mean, this is how sports should be done, you know. Because sports is for the rich, you know. Good setting. Thank you, Serena. This looks beautiful.
Yeah.
If they hadn't done this, I'm telling you, what happened in Ferguson, Missouri was just a tip on the iceberg. Is that what they say? They've been
Are you threatening?
No, I'm not threatening. Yeah, I'm saying what I would have done. But it's beautiful.
We have a special guest from Trinidad and Tobago. We know this country for calypso, soccer, you know, the carnival, running,
beautiful women.
Beautiful women.
Yeah.
This guy is from Trinidad and Tobago, the preacher, right? What's his name?
Miles Munro.
Yes.
No, he's from
Where's he from?
The Bahamas.
Still an island.
Yeah, something close to that. And she's preparing a very interesting meal. And in a couple of minutes, she will be coming to serve. But earlier in everyday life, you saw me trying to, you know, it's very sharp.
You thought you make eggs.
Before the food comes, because when the food comes, sport will be out of the way. Okay, I will definitely not talk about sport.
Thank you very much.
So let's start. City Oilers, Power and KCCA, all won their openers. Now, how soon till the semi-finals?
Yeah, how soon can I get in the semi-finals? As soon as today. By the end of today evening, we should be knowing where actually our teams lie. Yesterday, we had a mixed day because Power beat up on Cockburn. Fantastic win. I actually wasn't sure that Power would win a game against Cockburn. That was always going to be a tough one. But Power, I think, came out scratching. Not that convincing, but they managed to win.
Nice.
I think it was 65-55 or 68-55, I'm not mistaken.
And you are not quite sure that Power would win it?
Yeah, because there are a couple of things I feel they need to do right. Structure their basketball. You can't be running all the time. You can't be giving everyone to point your ball. Very sensitive position, and at Power they don't seem like they care about who points their ball. Anyone they think can point it, which is good to give confidence to people. Have the ball and do that. But at the highest level, you're going to be tested. You may put yourself in trouble. But yesterday they managed to win. Kojo Michael, huge effort from him. He had 10 points and 11 rebounds. And then the young boy, Paul Odong, aka MacGyver, scored 15, which was a game high. And then Norman Bleak actually scored 11 points. So Paul starting off on a good note. Now, they play again today. Again, it's a very, very tough team. Urunan, one of the best teams at the Zone 5 championships. Now, if they can beat Urunan, Power in the semi-final, City will play against ILS, team from Somalia. I'm sure they should be able to beat them up. Because if they can beat a Sport, why not ILS? So I'm thinking, those two Somalis sometimes can be tricky teams because they've got a couple of players who've been to the USA and come back to play, and they love their basketball because of, I think, naturally, most of them actually probably having some good time in the USA.
Okay.
So they play ILS, City all win, they are through. KCC again are in action. Again, they play, I think, against KPA, if I'm not mistaken. If they also win, Ugandan teams will be in the semi-finals, but for Power it's going to be tough. I think City Hall and KCC, big chance for them to qualify, and rest for the rest of the day, the rest of the days knowing we're waiting for the semi-finals. But for Power it's going to be a tough game. But they still have a huge chance, even if they lost today.
Right. So you might have maybe seen one of.
I think every day you think we are lying, you are not at the ceremony.
Yeah, some of you think that Chiwanyi, but we are at the ceremony.
I think you have seen.
And we are going to have this interaction.
We're gonna eat.
Yeah.
And
looks like it's also drizzling. So whatever prayer you're praying, please help us.
And even if you know, we've got cover, man. This NTV and so on. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Now, FIFA are up to something. They priced car discounted tickets. Is this actually going to bring the desired results? Are we going to see Nwambole flooded?
It's a good initiative.
A priced car? Oh, what kind of car?
It's an idea. Those that are going to buy 20,000 tickets, there will be a draw up before the Guinea game.
But
will
they be able to break even? A car is not cheap.
I don't know. Of course they can.
But they make lots of money.
Really?
Just imagine if because
Nwambole is not that big.
No, just imagine it is. I mean, it is. You make more. They can even make in excess of 600 million if Nwambole get full.
Profits?
Yeah. A lot of money, but off it probably could make about 200 or 300. I'm thinking this could be some good money. But listen. Imagine an extra 200 people buy the tickets because they want to give themselves a chance to buy an idea. They've already bought an idea, and there's even an actual balance for it, you know. So it's a good idea. But whether it can change the mentality and take people to Nwambole, that's a different story for me. People are not going to Nwambole because there's no car to be won. And I don't think so many of them want cars actually to win. People, the numbers have been cut because of this organization, Uganda Football. Even those that don't follow it that much are like, you know what, Uganda Football, that's how it's always been. It's like that. I mean, why should I go? Even the love that they did have for the Uganda Queens, like too much love, is almost gone. So, I think for me, it's more to do with governance of football in this country than actually giving out an idea. Though it's a good start.
It's a good thing.
idea. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good idea. They've given 5,000 tickets discount. For those that the 5,000 first people who buy the tickets, I think it must be ending, I think, today, if I'm not mistaken. That offer 5,000 people, you get the tickets at the 25 discount. That is 15,000. It's okay, it's good. But just imagine that was done when the football was just organized administratively. It will be different. There will be so many people willing to come, everyone will be giving them credit for that. But the mess, the rubbish here in the league, people fighting, people chasing our guys who are bringing money in the game, is a still big problem, and I don't trust virtually anyone in the Uganda football administration. But it's a good start. Hopefully, they can start from it.
Right. Anyway, anytime it starts to rain, we'll probably take a breather because we must eat this food.
A food breather.
Yeah. Yes. And so yeah, we're just holding on to until it becomes worse here. But I will be, of course, relocating somewhere else. But speaking about the game, some Ghanaian stars are not going to be playing. How good is that? I am quite happy.
Yeah,
should we be concerned that they are not going to?
I don't think we should be, to be sincere to you, because who is going to miss? That's the biggest question. Jerome Boateng, sorry, not Jerome actually, Kevin Prince Boateng. You know that they fought with the administrators at the World Cup in Suleiman Montari, so they can't be part of it. Most likely maybe even Michael Essien. But listen, Michael Essien barely played in football at the World Cup, and when it was the last time Ghana relied on Michael Essien. Gone are the days when he was a big star in Ghana playing at Chelsea. He's almost lost it now. And I think he has caught up with him, much as they say he's 28 or 29 or something. I don't think it is. So that's a big problem. Now, listen, if Ghana still brings Atsu, if Ghana still brings the Ayu brothers, if Ghana still Stubries, Asamoah Gyan,
yeah.
I mean, a couple of other, Wakaso, all those guys, Uganda will still be in trouble. And we are away, that's to start with. So we can celebrate 1 or 2 stars missing, but Ghana still have a lot of talent at their disposal. So for me, really just work double. Double, more than double for Uganda Cranes if we want to give ourselves a chance.
Awesome. Well, Arsenal last week, it was a goalless draw in Turkey, and the return leg is on this today. Is it today? And I believe that we will win this game. We have to win this game.
You, the Arsenals. I can't wait. I can't wait for that, because to start with, I think Arsenal have a good chance. They've almost become specialists of qualifying for certain things like, of course, the Champions League. Much as they had a shaky start in Portugal, sorry, in Turkey. We have to wait and see what comes out of Besiktas. But I think, while all the other times Arsenal have almost had it their way, a couple of simple wins here and there, I think Besiktas is going to be a tricky game for them. And I'm thinking, first of all, they were lucky to come out of Turkey with a goalless draw.
It was good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for you. It
was good for us.
So they're very lucky, I think, to come out of I think Turkey with a goalless draw. It could have been worse. I think Besiktas wasted lots of chances. Dembaba could have scored a hat-trick on the night. He didn't. So tonight, it's Arsenal's turn. They don't have Olivier Giroud. We understand he could have broken his bone in his foot. That's going to be a big miss, because who do Arsenal play now? Yes, I know I doubt whether he play, but even if he played, in such a big game against Slaven Bilic, who's quite a decent manager, you have Dembaba bothering you, Arsenal would have loved to have their best guns on. For me, I don't think Alexis Sanchez, the striker, should go through the middle. They'll be wasting him. I think he should come off the wing. Arsenal need to have someone in the middle, a big figure that can bother defenses. Now, without Olivier Giroud, if you're going to play their guys there, that's going to be a tough and tricky game for the Arsenal.
How you know, I didn't want to be the one to bring this up because it's kind of weird. But what about Man United?
Yeah. I mean,
what a game for them.
I mean, you talk about Man United, and I'm sure the next question is, did Louis van Gaal finally get his opening game?
Yeah.
I'm loving what's happening tonight, today.
Manchester United?
It almost looks like Man United.
4-0. How could that happen?
I mean, I'm sure the question should be, did Louis van Gaal finally get his first win as a United manager? Unfortunately, no. Let me tell you something. It was worse.
How long till he has to wait for his first win?
I mean, he's talked about giving the fans staying with the confidence and giving the team time, because it takes time to learn the philosophy. But you see, for the team that has won 20 Premier League championships, for a team that has won 3 Champions League titles, for a team that has won Capital One Cups and the FA Cups, World Club Championship Cups, and all those things, you have to wonder if they can actually, the fans can be that patient. Yesterday, United were absolute rubbish. I think all the 4 goals that were conceded came off defensive mistakes, and take away nothing from MK Dons. I thought they were impressive. They passed the ball well. They pressed United up top, and you thought they were a decent team, but United, I think, gave them the chance to do whatever they were doing, and I felt huge problems for United here. But while I was watching the game, I sat down and wondered, for Danny Welbeck, who wants to be a starter in United, for Javi Hernandez, who's making noise about being a starter in the United team, you've been given a chance against a lower team. I think 3rd-tier football they are playing in the English Football League, MK Dons, and they cannot actually dominate a game. They can't show the youngsters the way to go, because there are a couple of youngsters. But for me, I was very disappointed. Evans, one of the most experienced players on the team, Javi Hernandez, and I think Danny Welbeck could have done better. They were absolute rubbish, and I think I feel for United. Those fans have travelled. I saw some giving Van Gaal still to sign a few autographs. The culture is still there. The culture is still there. The institution is still big, that the fans believe and are patient. I'm sure stuff will come good.
Yeah.
But how patient these fans and the club can be, that's going to be big.
This is their biggest test.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be their biggest test. I don't know that they were prepared for such things post, I think, Ferguson era. I always thought it was going to be tough for any manager. Now I think it's evident now. I feel for Louis van Gaal. He wants to insert some few things. United have not played with so much philosophies. Now a man comes, he wants to introduce a few. It takes time to learn some of those things. But I feel for United fans. But I think with time it's better to start off this way. And maybe as the season goes by, you improve. We cannot wait to see what they can do. Good news for them, Angel Di Maria is a United player now. Can they add 1 or 2 players in the transfer?
I wanted to, I had a discussion with some Manu, fans yesterday, but also with some people who do sport, the analysts like you, and they say, Angel Di Maria may not be actually necessary for Manchester United because there are people who do that. Maybe they need a more defensive, maybe midfielder, because they're totally.
I want someone to tell me one person who can do what Di Maria does in United. Whoever thinks that United have to shut it out.
Rooney can play from the wing.
You see what
right?
happens is, but that's not his position. Rooney is a striker.
Nani used to do that.
And Nani is not Di Maria. We've seen what Di Maria has done. Ashley Young and Valencia are the other players who have done that. Are they any close to Di Maria? No. We've seen what Di Maria has done. He had 17 assists in the La Liga, more than anybody. He had 27 assists overall in Europe. I don't think anybody had that.
Wow.
Did anyone have even 10 or 15 in United? I don't think so. So this is a guy you need who can take on defenders. I mean, there are times when teams are going to pack the bus. You need a player who can take off 3-4 players.
And just put them in a
create
corner.
space for the others.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happens. Because to start with, once a team is struggling for form and also for talent, first bring in the talent. The issue of how they fit in can always be solved. United don't have a Di Maria. They need Di Maria. There is no doubt about it. Matches also need a defensive midfielder and probably one creative central midfielder they might need. That was to be done. And I think for me, the defensive part of it, of having a defensive midfielder, may not be that important. Because modern day football dictates you defend with numbers. There's been lots of praise about Sergio Busquets, for example, the guy who plays at Barcelona. I don't think he's the best of defensive midfielders. But what he does is that he's very good on the ball. He starts attacks, for example, for the Barcelona team. But also, once you attack in Barcelona, they defend in numbers. If United can get numbers behind the ball, it's going to be tough to break them down. So for me, they need Angel Di Maria. There's no doubt about it. Van Gaal already said they need wingers. What United had was so many number 10s. Juan Mata, Shinji Kagawa, Adina Nyamiza. I think for me, like the way it was played yesterday, I think Adina Nyamiza should also be played on the wing. I don't think he would thrive with little space. He needs a lot of space, run at people, and I think that can be done best on the wing. So I think United need Di Maria. Hopefully they can get in Arturo Vidal. They've been linked to that. About Daley Blind, I'm not sure whether it would be the best, but I think if they could get Vidal and Angel Di Maria, it would not be too much. I don't think it would be bad business, but I think also the other issue would be Van Gaal to switch the system and probably resort to a 4-3-3 that would suit all the players he has much better.
Okay, away from tennis. Away from football to tennis. We haven't talked about the US Open.
Yeah.
And I've been catching a few games every evening as I go home.
What time do you sleep? Because those games are really late. And it starts about 6 o'clock. So
yeah, I catch them at about 10.
Yeah.
Any surprises? Any shocks so far?
Yeah, and it would have been bad if you hadn't talked about the US Open. Just imagine, because this setting almost looks like flashing medals, because that's what the US Open is, in the big gap. Right. Yeah. So, unfortunately, there's not been. The only shock you can talk about, this is not that big, Sibylkova being beaten by a 15-year-old US youngster in the women's, from the women's side. The other guys, almost everyone is still in. Novak Djokovic won his game. Andy Murray did. Roger Federer this morning. Maria Sharapova, Serena Williams, Venus also, who's become almost, she's becoming cultured to dropping out in the first and second rounds. She managed to win with the bee, of course, disturbing, and they had a bee that was flying all over the place on the court, and they needed some of these young girls who are the robots to pick a towel and get it out of the place, otherwise we're not going to continue. So I think apart from that, there's not big. We have to wait and see what comes in the next few days. But the big guy of Djokovic, at the moment, everyone is...
I saw him.
Almost in that. I think maybe even Andy Murray could, David Ferrer,
I think
all those
distracted.
Oh yeah, Melito, but I was joking. But really, I mean, all those guys, I think, come in that category. But I think he's had a good tournament. Before going to the US Open, actually, he won the Toronto Masters, beating up on Roger Federer in the final. That was huge. Right. So hopefully he can pick up from there and see what happens.
Well, today, obviously, I don't think we'll feature any African proverb. Let's just African.
The African proverb is here.
Is here. Sandra,
whoever wants to compete, beat this.
Yes, and
bet this. Bet this.
Let me just talk to Sandra quickly. Again, remind us before we taste. What is
this?
There's shrimp in here, right?
What is shrimp, my boss?
Okay, shrimp. Please.
More on the internet.
Goes with the question of whether they can change you are. It becomes so hard.
And he works. The idea stuff. I mean, we've all had.
Happy hour changes today.